Hi, my name's Lloyd Hamilton, and I have a book I'd like to share with you today. It's a new one to me, but I really like it, and I think you will too. It's called A Wizard in Love. I know, sounds kind of mushy, right? I think you'll like it. It's about a wizard named Hector. Hector was a retired wizard. He lived happily in his dilapidated house at the edge of the forest with his cat named Poison. Hector had at least 3 naps daily, and he growled contentedly after each one. He couldn't remember the last time he had his wizard friends over to visit, or even the last time he'd cleaned his house. The shutters were always firmly shut against the sun, and the telephone was always unplugged. Hector and Poison were content to spend their days watching TV and munching cookies. See, there's Hector there napping away, and there's his cat, Hector. Sorry, Poison. Hector's the wizard. I got confused. One morning, as Hector slept amongst the cookie crumbs, he was startled by a horrible noise. He opened one eye, then the other. The sound was so dreadful, Hector couldn't fall back to sleep. He tried covering his ears. He stuck his head in a flower pot. Nothing seemed to help. Hector could still hear that ghastly noise. It made him furious. There's Hector. He's all upset. Trying to get rid of that noise, trying to get it to stop. He threw open the shutters. Rays of sunshine hit the wizard square in the eyes, which only put him in a worse mood. At first, Hector couldn't see anything, but as his eyes adjusted, the outline of the old abandoned house across the road appeared. As if by magic, the house was all spruced up. Someone had moved into that house. And that horrible, dreadful noise hammering at his brain was coming directly from that house. Hector marched across the road. The freshly painted house glimmered in the daylight. But as Hector approached, all he could think about was the horrendous racket. He peeked through the open window. Look at that house across the street from Hector. All nice, flowers. There he is, marching across from his house, the wizard's house, retired wizard. In the middle of the living room was a beautiful woman with a lovely smile, singing as she played the piano. "How hateful!" Hector growled. "This must be stopped." There she is. The wizard raced home, ran up the stairs to his attic. He opened the cupboard where he kept his magic books, potions and powders. He found the big book of spells and flipped through its pages. How to make hair fall out? How to make someone grow warts? How to make teeth ache? How to make itching powder? How to bake an evil cake? "Ah, this will stop the infernal racket," said Hector. There he is, going through his stuff, trying to figure out. Hector put aside his magic wand and set about mixing ingredients. Soon, the large cauldron in the hearth began to bubble, and the potion overflowed, covering the kitchen in foam. Nasty blue smoke rose up and seeped out of the chimney. "Yum," said Hector. And there's Poison, his cat. Help. A tad of green powder here, a touch of red powder there. Hector poured the potion into a bowl, mixed it until it settled, then placed it in the oven. While it baked, the cake thundered and rumbled and gave off a foul odor. Poison, always curious, sneaked to taste. Suddenly he began to grow. His front paws sprouted and leathery dragon wings. He opened his mouth to meow, but instead he breathed fire. "Smarty pants," grumbled Hector. He grabbed his wand and waved it over the baffled cat. Poison was restored to his furry self. I don't think I'd want to eat that cake. By the afternoon, the cake was finished. Hector was ready to put his evil plan into action. I'm rather proud of my plan, he said to Poison as he arranged the cake on a platter. This will get rid of all that annoying beauty. He plucked a handful of flesh-eating flowers. He plucked a handful of flesh-eating flowers. And balancing his hideous cake, he set out for the pretty house across the road. And there he goes. Look at that cake. Hector grabbed the door knocker and knocked. It chimed a pretty musical tune. Hector muttered a curse. The door opened, and there she stood, the beautiful woman with the splendid smile. Hector gritted his teeth, turned his head, and presented her with his gift. Hector, your neighbor, he said, I made you a fine cake to welcome you to the neighborhood. How kind of you. I'm Isabel. Please come in. Hector was taken aback by the lovely Isabel's voice. It was clear as water in a babbling brook, and gay as the song of a bird. He faltered. He no longer felt quite so angry. She smelled wonderful, like lilacs and cinnamon. He let the flowers fall to the ground and slowly stepped inside. Boy, isn't she beautiful. Come, said Isabel, taking him by the hand. The house had such an air of happiness that Hector quivered. She set Hector's cake down on a small table, and then led him to the piano. There's the cake, and there's Hector, being led by the lovely Isabel. I can't get the page turned. They sat side by side on the piano bench. The charming Isabel guided Hector's fingers over the piano keys. Suddenly, he remembered a time before the closed shutters and the unplugged phone and the filthy house. He played one note, and then another. Isabel gazed deep into his eyes, and sweetly, softly, she began to sing. As she sang, the music began to work its spell on Hector. He forgot his evil cake and wicked plan, and he began to smile. He couldn't remember the last time he felt this way, but he recognized the feeling. He was in love. Hector and Isabel sang into the wee hours of the night. Their songs delighted their neighbors, Poison, and everyone who heard them. And for all we know, they're still singing. And that is the end.